Okay, so in this video, we're going to be talking about the Spring framework, our interfaces. The Spring basically provides a lot of our interfaces that we should be aware of as a developer. Basically, there are a lot of our interfaces the Spring frameworks provides to the developers, and we can use it in a nice manner if you want to get the complete advantages from the Spring framework. This is another way of doing things. This is another way of injecting your dependencies. And if you want to know about the Bean lifecycle in a proper manner, then this is a topic that you should understand. So, from the last couple of videos or last 3 videos, we're talking about IOC container, dependency injection, injecting properties using external properties file. And we are heading towards the complete life cycle that we have for the bean. When the bean gets created, is go through a life cycle. We are talking about that. And this, our interface, also plays a very vital role during the bean creation. So I do recommend you to understand this topic thoroughly, at least understand what are our interface and how you can use it in your day-to-day programming. Okay, that is something that we are looking for, and we're going to be talking about this in this particular video. Let's just get started. Basically, before we go and start learning this concept today, I just want you to ask a few questions. So as you guys know, so far we are creating bean like this. Imagine this is a bean and the beans are living inside a container. But before the bean gets created, the bean creation process is there. The bean has gone through different cycles, or what we call life cycles. So far, the recap that we are doing, we have learned about a couple of things. We have learned about the initialization of the bean. You know that whenever we are creating a bean, first of all, like whenever we are making the class as a component, or whenever we make the class as a what we call like a bean, the constructor of that particular class will be called. That's what we call the initialization. So before the bean gets created and leave over there, it first need to go through the initialization process. And then inside the bean, if there is any dependency, those dependency will be injected using the setter method or any constructor. The property injection will be there, or the state of the dependency will be set inside the bean. Okay, so first the constructor of the class will be called, then the setter method that you have for dependency injection, those will be called inside a bean. And then this couple of things that you have already learned. And then what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be talking about another thing which is going to happen before the bean gets created. And that something is going to be the our interface, or the callback method that we have inside the our interface. So right here, we'll talk about this particular things today, how the our interface is going to help us to get to get the hold of some of the internal objects that the Spring framework uses, and how the our interface is going to help us to do certain thing before the bean gets created. So after the our interface, also there are a few things are there that we'll be learning gradually, but let's talk about this particular things over here called our interface, and the rest of the things which happens over here before the beans get created. We'll be learning that in a couple of sessions, right? So maybe 5 or 6 more sessions on Spring Core, and I think the entire recap will be done, and the things which are not covered on YouTube, those things also will be covered now with Spring 6. Okay, so let's just talk about this particular thing called our interface, and what we call the our interfaces has some callback method. We're going to be talking about that, and if it really doesn't make any sense to you right now, don't worry, you'll be understanding everything. Perfect. So let me just open my IDE and let me just create a new project. I will go ahead and copy one of the project, paste it, and I'm going to be saying it like our interface hands-on. Okay, So if I come to scope, if I come to source main Java, so right here, I should have some, packages already. Let me just delete this person class. I don't want to use it anymore. And inside the application config, I want to remove everything. So let me just zoom this out a little bit. Okay, I don't have anything inside the app config, so no problem. And in the app.java also, let me just modify a little bit. These are all the last session code. I don't give a damn about it. So let me just close everything. And yeah, so things are good. So here what we are doing, here basically we are creating a container in the line number 11, and we are creating the container out of this app config file. The app config file will do a component scan wherever this particular class exists. Obviously this class exists over here, so it will scan all the classes over here. So let me create a class here called let's say player. Okay, so this is a class that we have here, and inside the player class, imagine like what I'm gonna do. Let's say I have a method called public void play. Okay, so the player can play. And the next thing is like, okay, imagine this is the method I have inside the player class, right? Now, if I will make it a component, and if I will have a constructor here, Spring will use this constructor to create the player object, and the constructor is something like, let's say player is initializing. Okay, that the container will first invoke the constructor, and this is what we call the initialization process that I have told about here, like initialize. Okay, so like the constructor will be invoked first. So if I'll go over here and if I'll run this, you can see the player is initializing in my console. Okay, so there's something which is basically the initialization process. So after initialization, what will happen? Okay, I told about the dependency injection. Okay, so let's say the player is having any dependency. Let's say the player is having any dependency of any class. Okay, any class, let's say any class, then this class dependency will be injected using any setter method or something. There's the process number 2. We'll be coming into that. Now I'm talking about something called our interfaces. So before we go for the detail about the our interface, let's say I'm going to tell you about one of the our interface which is available in Spring. No need to memorize anything, just like see what I'm doing, and then I'm going to show you all the references, so you can just take the reference from there. Now imagine there is a our interface is called BeanNameAware. Okay, there is an interface name called BeanNameAware. So it is straight away asking me to override a method, because obviously it has one method that I have to override, and I will do add unimplemented method, and you can see it is saying me set bean name. So what is the uses of this and why I'm overriding this particular method here? So the reason is that let's say it is not a component like this. Okay, Control-Shift-O to have the import, like to remove the import. Okay, imagine this is a player, and the player object I'm creating inside the app config class right here. How to create the bean manually? I can create the bean like this. Let's say public player, okay, and let's say return new player. Okay, let's say this is one player instance. So let's say player 1. Okay, let's say it is a multiplayer game, so it is going to be a bean. So let's say bean. Okay, and let's say this is a multiplayer game, so I'll just copy this and I'll just do player 2. Okay, and it is also going to return a new player. So let's say I have a couple of beans over here for player interface, player class, right? All are returning the new player. Now imagine what I want. Let's say if I have many beans of the player, and that whenever the beans of this will be created, the name will be given to each of the bean. So if I don't give the name of the bean over here, what will be the bean name? Anybody? Right now I'm creating the bean. If I don't give the bean name, I have not given any bean names. Yeah, method name, right? Player 1 and player 2. Perfect. So let's say you have many objects here, like for the player, right? And it's a very big project. So you want, whenever the beans are getting initialized, you want to populate the name in the console or something, let's say for the console for now, to make it simple. So I'll go to the player.java right now. So what is going to happen over here? If I go to app.java, if I will run this, obviously the couple of player beans we are creating, so the player is initializing. Now, if I go to the player.java, if I want to populate the bean name, so this is a callback method which is going to be automatically called by the player. Okay, like whenever the bean will be created for player, obviously first the constructor will be initialized, because like the player to initialize will be using the constructor. So you know it will be the initialize means will be using the constructor. We don't have any dependency injection to be done over here, because the player does not depend on anything so far. It does not have any references. But now I'm talking about the our interface callback. So I have one of the our interface. You can see the BeanNameAware is ends with our. So it's one of the interface that we have, which is the our interface, and the our interface is having a callback method. If you understand one, you'll be able to understand everything. So this is a callback method that we have. So it will be automatically called, and this name will be injected by Spring automatically. So Spring will call this method automatically. You don't have to call this, and it will give you the bean name over here automatically, so that you can take that and can do something. Right now, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to say sys out bean name is, and you can just print the bean name for now. Bean name. What is that? Name or something. Whatever you have inside the parameter. So Spring will call this method. You don't have to call it as a developer, and Spring will inject the name of the bean over here. Let's see that if this method is getting called by automatically, because I'm not calling it anywhere. I'm just creating my container with this app config, and in the app config I have a couple of beans created. And whenever this bean will be created, what I told you guys, whenever the player bean will be created, obviously, you know, this method will be called automatically. So right now I'm creating a couple of beans. So this method will be called for a couple of times whenever the respective bean will be created. Let me go to app.java. Let me do run, and you'll be seeing that player is initializing and the bean name is player1. Then the player is initializing, then the bean name is player2. So these are the default name. So if you're going to go to the config and going to change the bean name here, if you're going to change the bean name to, let's say, name of the bean to, let's say, player1. So let's say I'll say name of the bean to Sachin, and this bean will be, let's say, Dhoni or something. Let's say name, you know, Saurav, let's say. Okay, run this. Okay, so you're getting the bean name. So if you have hundreds of bean, you want to populate the name of the bean right when they will be created, you can use this internal, you know, our interface of Spring in order to have this callback method automatically gets called, which is going to be automatically gets called by the Spring. Okay, so if you're going to go inside this BeanNameAware right now, you can see it has a set bean method, and it extends to a interface called our interface. And this our interface, you can see, is a marker interface, right? I can see there is no method here. That's why we call it a marker interface. You can also read the documentation, a marker super interface, indicating that the bean is eligible to be notified by the Spring container or a particular framework object through a callback style method. Okay, so now if you're going to do Control T here, there will be many our interface that you have over here. Okay, many implementation. You can see there are many implementation of the our interface. Many of the classes implements the our interface, like ResourceLoaderAware, MessageSourceAware, ResourceLoaderAware, like if you want to load any resources, like any properties file, or let's say any banner or anything like you are loading as a resource. MessageSourceAware, like if you want to support make your app supported internationalization. There are a lot of our interface. EnviromentAware, we'll be talking about few of the our interface. BeanNameAware is something that we are using, which is the implementation. Okay, so there will be a lot of different our interface. BeanFactoryAware. Let me use this BeanFactoryAware interface right now. Okay, again you can see BeanFactoryAware extends to our, and it has a set BeanFactory method, which will get you the bean factory object. So as I have told you, let me just close everything not to confuse you guys. And if I will go to the I think our interface, and right here, if I'll go to the source main Java, let's say I will be creating a class, and this class will be let's say bean info. Okay, the class name is bean info. Let's say this class will help me to print some of the bean related information. And if I want to print some of the bean related information, then I have to get a hold of the bean. I need to have a hold to the bean. And if I want to have a hold to the bean, where the bean exists? Anybody? Where does the bean exist? If I want to application context is like one of the modern contexts that we have, or container that we have. We also have one more, which is the root one. Anybody? Bean factory?
Bean factory.
Exactly, bean factory. So we can, like, if you want to have a hold to the bean, you can, like, first suggestion that I have, I can use application, where is that? ApplicationContextAware. If you want to have a hold to the application context object, I will show you that in example. And one more is called BeanFactoryAware, right? Let me just use this. Okay, I was just telling about this interface. I was just showing you guys this interface, right? BeanFactoryAware, and you can see it has a set BeanFactory method. If I go inside this, now if I'm gonna add the unimplemented method, as you can see right now, bean factory, we have a method to override, and what it is going to give us, it is going to give it, like, whenever this class bean will be created, let's say if I'll be make it a component. Okay, if I'll make it a component, that means what? This bean info will be a, let's say a bean, and whenever this bean will be created, this method will be a callback method, because it implements the bean factory hour. So before the bean is getting created, and before the container will give you the bean to use, right? Because before you guys, like right now, this bean is there inside the container. Before it's like, when it will come to the container, first it will go to this stage, then this stage, then this stage, then it will go to here. Then you as a developer will ask that to the container, get me the bean. It will get you the bean, right? So right now, before this bean gets created, the our interface will be called, right? So right now, that time, whenever the bean factory our interface will be called, this will be a callback method which will be automatically get called. Let's say I want to print some of the information. Now this bean factory object, whatever we have inside the setter method, this will be automatically available to you. You don't have to initialize it, because right now the bean factory is null. If you're gonna call it by yourself, the set bean factory, you have to give the bean factory object, because this is null. This is just a reference. But Spring will call this, invoke this, and will inject this object for you. Okay, and now we can just use it separately. Bean factory dot, let's say, is singleton. Okay, let's say I'm gonna check a bean if it is singleton. Let's say if I'll check a bean called, I have a couple of bean right now, no? Let me just run my application for a moment. Previously I have two beans, right? Sachin bean, copy this. Okay, let's see if the Sachin bean is singleton or not. Okay, I told you the default scope of the bean is what? Singleton. So obviously I have not set any bean scope for Sachin. So obviously, it is going to tell me whether it is singleton or not. And I'm expecting that it is singleton bean. Let me just do sysout. Okay, and let's say is singleton. I want to print. Let's say I'll just put some more info. Let's say Sachin bean is singleton. Okay, let me run this. And now, okay, where is that? Player is initializing. Saurav, this bean.
You made changes in earlier project.
Oh, okay. One second. App.java. Okay. No, it is here, no? Bean info. One second. This one, where did I write? Here only, right?
No. In the earlier project.
Let me just
minimize this. Yeah, in the scope you have made changes before this thing.
RAR. Okay. Okay, let me just bring this bean info, control C this, do control B here, close everything, and let me just run this. Okay, now let's do right click, run as Java application, and bean name is Saurabh, player is initializing. Yeah, right now this is the thing. Sachin bean is singleton. Is singleton is telling me true. So like what I want to tell you that now if I'm gonna go to the app config, and if I'm gonna change the scope of the bean, how can I change the scope of the bean? I told you, right? It will be a scope annotation, and you're gonna be maintaining your scope right now. Right now, I just changed the scope of the bean to prototype to like singleton to prototype. So right now, if I'll go to the app.java, do run, and look at that. Sachin bean is like, is not singleton. That's why it is telling me false. And you can see only the Saurabh bean got executed. And the Sachin bean is like the Sachin bean has not been executed so far, and the Sachin bean has not been initialized so far, because as it is a prototype scoped bean, is this Sachin bean is a prototype scoped bean. Whenever I'll be using the Sachin bean, that time only the instance of the Sachin bean will be created. For an example, if I'll go to app.java, and now if I'll do container dot get bean, and if I'm gonna ask for the Sachin bean, let's say Sachin, what is that player, let's say Sachin bean, whenever I'll ask for player dot class, then only the things will work fine. Let me run this. I can see right now the Sachin bean is also initializing, and the scope is false, like it is not singleton. So what I mean to tell you that the bean info, the set bean factory method is automatically get invoked. And if I put a sysout over here, and if I'll say BeanFactoryAware, and I'll paste it over here, 1 second. I'll go over here, and if I'll paste it over here, and if I'll put a hash mark or something, you can see like this setter method is automatically get called, right? So this setter method, this print statement is coming. That means this is automatically get called, right? So I think this is making sense, right? So far we are good. Like what I'm trying to do, I'm using the set bean factory method, which is getting called automatically, and set bean factory method is going to get me the hold of this bean factory class object, and this is the internal object that the Spring will be creating. And whenever Spring will invoke this method, like whenever the bean for this will be created, Spring will be invoking this particular method, and this object will be automatically injected for the developer. The developer can take this object and can check for anything. Like he knows that this will be automatically called and this will not be null, so will not be getting any null pointer exception. So any kind of bean factory methods we can use over here, like is singleton, is prototype. There are a lot of different methods that we'll be learning, step by step. But I think you guys are understanding that this is a callback method. So far we are good, guys. Yeah, it is invoked before the bean creation, but object will see. I'll just do one more thing. There is a flow, Ashok. We'll be talking about the flow at last after we learn everything, like all this bean cycle method. But so far, let's see the flow. I will go to the player. Okay. In the player, first the constructor is getting invoked. Okay. Then let's say there is a set bean method. I will also put a sysout here. Sysout. Let's say set. What is that? BeanNameAware. You see the flow so far. So if you have multiple hour method in your project, if I'll go to app.java, to right click, run as Java application. Now look at the flow. See, BeanFactoryAware is coming first. Then, 1 second, BeanNameAware is here. Okay, BeanFactoryAware is coming first, then the BeanNameAware. So before your object is initializing, you can see, before your object is initializing, see Sachin bean is false. Like I will just comment out few things. I'll go to the bean info. I will comment out this couple of things that I have over here. And also I'll go to the, player.java. I will copy, I'll just comment out the code that I have written. Only I will have the BeanNameAware over here. I have my constructor with a logger, and then I also have BeanFactory, right? BeanInfo. I also have BeanFactory, and here also I have a logger. Now let me run this. Let me go to app.java, appconfig.java, and also let me just do one thing. Let me just remove one of the bean, and let's just make it singleton only so that we can see the flow without having any problem. Let me run the app right now. Now look at the flow. First, BeanFactoryAware method called. That means first BeanFactoryAware method will be called. That means any class which implements BeanFactoryAware, the setter method of the BeanFactoryAware will be called first and will be giving you the BeanFactory object. Okay. Then the next thing will be, if I go into this, you can see the player is initializing. That means the bean is getting created. Whenever the bean will be created, first what will happen? The constructor will be invoked. And once the constructor is invoked, once the bean is initialized, the setBean method will be called. That means the BeanNameAware, the setBean method of the BeanNameAware will be called. And that's the flow is like first BeanFactoryAware, then the BeanNameAware. So the next thing is we so far just remember this flow, and if if this flow is also making you confused, just don't understand about the flow right now. You just understand that we have the hour methods called BeanNameAware, and also we have one more is called BeanFactoryAware. Okay, now let's just talk about the next one. Okay, and let's just talk about Lipika.
What the use of this BeanAware?
BeanNameAware or BeanFactoryAware?
The BeanFactoryAware.
Yeah, BeanFactoryAware, as I said, Lipika, this is going to get you the BeanFactory object. Okay, and if you want to have the internal access to the BeanFactory object, it's like your application context object. This is going to hold your beans. So like if you want to have access to that particular object and want to invoke any kind of methods that exist inside the bean factory, like you can see bean factory is also having getBean method, like it has different getBean method, like it is like a application context only, right? So there will be different methods. If you want to invoke all these methods, then you can have a hold to the bean factory object. The bean factory is just like your application context. I'm going to give you one more example. 1 second. That will make the things more clear. 1 second, please. There are so many things involved here, so we'll need to go step by step. So I will answer your question in 1 minute. You can understand this better because you are using it in your day, so far in your project you are using this. So this will be more easier for you. Imagine you have a class here, and this class is like a game class. Okay, and imagine in this game class you have a method called public void start game. Okay, and let's say we just have a sys out here, and we'll say game is initializing. Okay, now imagine this is a component. Okay, now this will clarify, maybe this will clarify your question because we don't need any of the prerequisite for this. Lipika, this thing is making sense, right? We have a game component which is going to be a bean, right?
Yeah.
Now tell me, I'll go to the player class. Okay, inside this player class, let me just expand this a little bit. Okay, inside this player class, I have a play method. Just look at this method. I have a play method. Now what I want, the player has a dependency. The player will play a game, right? So the player will have a dependency, game. And I will just, I can do auto where, right? If I'll do auto where, the things will be automatically where to this particular object. That's fine. But what I want to do, I will not do auto where. Let's say this is a legacy code and I don't have any option to do the auto wearing right now, or like I don't want to do the auto wearing right now. Okay. So if I'll not do auto wearing, this will be null, right? And if I'll do game in the player, if I'll do game dot, what is that? Start game. Okay, start game. Then what will happen right now if I'll call the play method? The game will not, null pointer exception, right? Yes. So because this is null, right? So now tell me if I don't want to do any dependency injection, because here one option is you will tell me, okay, Vilas, you have a constructor called player. So you put player, you accept game here, game, and make sure that whenever somebody is creating the game object, he will do the dependency injection and you will do this dot game is equal to game, right? And this is one option, or you can just do simply, you just simply do this. You can make it AutoWord, okay? But I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this, okay? If I'll not do this, then this will be a null pointer exception whenever I'll be invoking this method. Let's just do that first. I'll go to app.java and I will just do one thing. I will just get bean. I think I have a couple of bean there in the app config. Who are my players? My player is there. Player is called Sachin is there. So let me go to app.java. Let's say container.getBean of the Sachin, and then I'll just do start, or what is that, play. Okay, the play is the method that I'm using over the player class object, right? To right click, run as Java application, and obviously, as you guys said, this is going to get me the null pointer exception. Don't see the flow right now. Don't get confused. We'll come into that step by step. Trust me on that. Now just look into this null pointer exception, and we're getting a null pointer exception because the start game method is having this dot game, which is null. So obviously the play method, this game is null. Now let's say you have a requirement. You want to get the object of game inside this class only. Here you have the responsibility to initialize this object game. You have to initialize this game. Then how can you do it? You can just do game is equal to new game, right? But obviously we're using Spring, right? Why should I create the object of this? Okay, let's say the game object is already, I think it's already a component, right? So Spring is using it. So, my application context is going to use it if it is a component. So what I'm going to do here inside the player class, I will ask application context get me the game object, and I will set it to the game after that. So how can I ask my application context that get me the game object? Lipika, just tell me that. How can I ask my application context that get me the game object? What method I have to call? GetBean? GetBean? Yeah, correct. GetBean. So GetBean method is there inside what? Application context. So how can I get a access to the app context object over here? I need to have access to this. Again, there is our interface is there for that. Okay. And that our interface is ApplicationContextAware. And if you're going to use this, right, again, you have to add the unimplemented method. Okay. Right here. And what I'm going to do, this is going to get me the hold of application context right here. Okay. So don't write actually code over here in your real-time project. Whenever you see any our interface, you will see they will not write code here, because if any exception thrown, that will be a problem. We'll not get into that right now. We'll make it simple. Imagine here you are going to get the application context object. Spring will invoke this method automatically when the player object will be created. And obviously you're going to be getting this particular object over here. So what I'm going to do inside this class, I'm going to be having one more object right now. Let's say application context. Okay, coming from org.springframework.context, and I'll say context. Okay, and obviously this is null right now. So let's initialize it. You know that this method will be called automatically. You know that you're going to be getting the application context object right here. So you're going to be setting the same. So you'll just do this dot context is equal to application context. Now copy this guy, paste it over here, and there you go. And now once this object is initialized, you copy this object, go to your play method and initialize this game. You know how to do it, right? You're going to be doing context dot getBean. Okay, and context dot getBean, and use the getBean method. Let's say in the getBean method, what I want the game object of the game class. Let's say game dot class, right? And there you go. And you can just simply do game dot class also. I think this will also not get you any error. You can also give the only class name. It is going to get you the bean. Assign the statement to a new local object. You don't have to create another game object. Rather, you copy this game object and you just assign this game object to here. Okay, and that's it. Look at the play method right now. Now what I have done is I'm getting the bean from the context. I want to have the access to the context object, and this context is my application context, which is the internal object that the Spring manages. So I want to have a hold of this. So I have taken the help of the ApplicationContextAware, which has a callback method called setApplicationContext, and this is going to help me to give the application context object, and this is going to help me to set the context object right now. And once the context object is set inside my play method, before I call the start game method, I will initialize this game right here by calling the getBean method. Now let's just go to the app.java and let me run this. Run as Java application and things should work fine. You can see game is initialized. Okay, so Lipika, the thing that I want to tell you right now is that the way you have something called a application context hour, which is going to get you the application context object, like you are having a hold to that, like that. We are not using BeanFactory. Even I have not used BeanFactory since the time I'm working at least, right? I just used it a couple of times. My architect just told me just remove this and use application context during my initial days. So even I have not used BeanFactory, but let's say BeanFactory is just like your application context. So in case you want to have the access to the BeanFactory object also, then you can use the BeanFactoryAware, and you can also do getBean method on top of this also. This will also work. So one more thing, just to tell you, the flow, again, the flow may be confusing right now. I don't want to go into that, but just maybe we will come back to this. See this one, and we'll come back to this. If I'll go to the player.java, imagine we also have a application context. If I do sys out here, and if I'll do, let's say application context, see which one will be called past. Just see this, don't get confused. I just want to show you, see the flow. Run this. See, first BeanFactoryAware is getting called, then BeanNameAware is getting called, then ApplicationContextAware is getting called. Okay. Now again, confusion, no? We're going to be going into that and we'll be understanding everything step by step. So don't worry about this thing. So we have some more hour interface that we'll be talking about. One more thing that we have is called ResourceLoaderAware. Okay, so let's talk about this one. Imagine if I want to load some of the resources. Imagine if we want to use any of the resources. Okay, for an example, a property file if I want to load, or let's say property file, right? Let me just tell you something new. So what I'm gonna do, I will talk about something called you guys know about banner. Let me just go ahead and show you something. Let's say Spring Boot banner generator. Let's say I'm creating a banner for my project. There will be a lot of online tool to generate banner. Imagine I have a banner like Selenium Express. This is my app name. I'll preview it. Let's say this is a banner. Okay, so what I want, before I start my application, this application, which is, I think I'm making changes here only. Before I start my scope application, this is going to refer to my company. So whenever my application starts, I want my banner to be populated here. Okay, I want this banner to be populated here, Selenium Express. Okay, so let me download the banner. Okay, and let me open it. Show in Finder. 1 second, let me just bring this in. Copy, and I will go to my desktop, paste it, banner.txt. Okay, this is my banner file. Let me open this. Okay, I have this banner, right? Imagine I want to load this banner. Okay, I want to load this banner when my application starts. Okay, then how can I load it? How can I load it when my application starts? I want to load it. So this banner is an external file that I want to load. So this is a resource for my project, or your properties files are there, or something which are files that you want to load. There are some images you want to load. Then how are you going to be doing it? Let me just load this one. And to load this kind of banner, you have another interface which is going to help you to, load resources. Let me just create a new class, and let's say banner loader. Okay, let me create a class like this, and this class will help me. I will just do implement and another our interface. I think this is called ResourceLoaderAware. Okay, and once you have this, you're gonna be having access to resource loader over here. Okay, and this resource loader is, again, if you're gonna hover on this, okay, this is coming from where? org.springframework.core.io.resourceLoader. So basically, this is going to have you the access to the resource loader, which is the internal Spring object, right? And using the resource loader, you can just do resource loader dot get resource, and you can just get the resource from here. Now, how can you get the resource? You can just do right click, and you can just do get info and get the path. And this is the path. Copy till this, Control C, go to the STS, paste it. The next thing is like the extension is banner.txt. Go over there, paste it. Okay, there you go. And obviously this is maybe if you are putting it over here inside the resources folder, this will be a like, you know, class path resource, but right now I am not putting it inside the class path. You can also do what? You can just create a new folder here like this, source folder, name it as src main resources, and keep all your resources right here like your banner. And if you are having it over here, just use class path, okay, and just do like, you know, just give your resource name. But right now I'm not loading it from the class path. I'm not keeping my resource over here. You know that I'm putting my resources in a file in the desktop. So this is going to be a file for me. Okay, so I'm going to load the resource from here, from this file. Now I can just do Control+1, assign statement to new local variable, and there you go. My resource is loaded. Okay, that's it. And then after that, you want to display the resource. Then this is core Java thing. Okay, now here you are able to load the resource. That's the main thing. Okay, you are able to load the banner. See, okay, let's see, like, you know, if you are having any exception, do right click. Sorry, let me just make it a component. Let me create a bean for that. Now let me run the program. Are we having any exception? No exception so far. Let me have sys out here, and let me just give hash, and let me just do resource loader hour. Control S. Let me just do run. See it is resource loader hour is executing first, and it is loading the resources from this file. If it is not able to load it, then obviously we would have get a file not found exception. So I think it is loading it fine. So we are not having any problem. So let's say if I'm putting one more R, are we getting any exception? This file does not exist, right? Let's see. No, it is not getting me any exception so far, right? Okay, let's just try to use it. Let's see that whether we're able to use this. So how can we read the resource? Now the resource has been loaded. This file has been loaded. Now let's just read everything. This is a text file. Let me just read it and just populate it. How can we just read it? Let's say resource.get input stream. Let me just get the input stream. This is some core Java thing, guys. Don't want to get into this. Let me put it inside the try and catch. First, let me just get input string, do Control+1, and this is going to get me the input stream. Now let me just use a buffer reader. BF is equal to new buffer reader. It is going to take a reader object. So I'm going to do new, I think I can just do input stream reader, and you can put the stream right here. Okay, whatever the stream that you got, from this resource, right, that you are putting over here. Now once you have the buffer reader, you can just do bf.readLine. Okay, this read line will help you to read the line one by one, to read your text file line by line. So assign statement to a new local variable, read line. Let me just print it out, sys out, and print the read line. Okay, that's it. Let me run this. At least we should get one line, huh? Yeah, we get one line. Okay, so we only get first line, right? I think this one we are getting, this one we are getting, and this one we are getting. Let me read everything. If you want to read everything, then obviously I need to keep, I just need to keep reading till this read line, because you're gonna do read line, it will get you the first line. Then read line, it will get you the second line, right? Now, like that, I have to keep reading. Let me just do one thing. Let me just say string line is equal to bf.readLine, and I'm gonna keep printing the line, and I'll be keep printing the line. I'll put a while clause here till the line become null. Okay, I'll keep printing the line, and I'll keep printing the line if the line till the line not equals to null. I'll keep printing it, and I will make sure to set the line again. Control C, paste it over here, and till the time it's become null, till the time the bf.readLine becomes null, I'll be keep printing it. Let me just run this. There we go. You get your banner like here, right here, and right now using this resource loader object, I'm basically able to access this banner, right, which is one of my resources that I have inside my file, or maybe it may be inside the class path resources. I'm able to load it, and I'm able to load it using the resource loader. This line is very important, resource loader dot get resource, because I'm having a hold to this. These are the core Java thing. You guys do it, don't do it, I don't give a damn about it. Okay, but you just try it once. I think it's very simple. You'll be able to do it, and you just try to load some more resources like maybe file images right over here to do hands-on. So far it is clear. Like guys, can I know like things are good so far? At least you understand right now so far what is the use of this our interfaces.
Yes, very nice.
Okay, thanks Lipika. Omkar, questions? Aditi, things are clear. Anju, Kishore, any questions? Chandrakant, you can ask me. Richard, questions?
Yeah, clear at last.
Bijay, if you have any questions. Yeah, okay, perfect.
All good.
Okay, all right. Shohas, questions? No, right? Okay, don't worry about the flow. We'll come back to this. Cool. So yeah, all good so far. So far we have something called our interface. Our interface is having Control T, having many different our interface. So application event publisher hour. I will not go into this because this will make the confusion. I have something on the chart. Omkar, no, you are not audible, Omkar. So 1 second. Okay, let me just do a Control T one more time. Okay, we have all this our interface. Application context hour we have discussed. Event publisher hour, we'll talk about. There are more than 10, 12 hour interface if I'm not wrong. Startup hour I have not discussed. Class loader hour I have not discussed. What are the things that we have discussed? BeanFactoryAware we have discussed. And now we spoke about the BeanNameAware we have discussed. And EnviromentAware we have not discussed. ImportAware we don't have. We have not discussed yet. MessageSourceAware. Okay, maybe I can talk about this. ResourceLoaderAware we have discussed. MessageSourceAware is for your internationalization. Let me try doing it. It'll be a little. Okay, let's just do it. Okay, MessageSourceAware. Let's just try to understand what this hour is, because by the time you are moving to your Spring MVC and if you'll be start building apps, obviously you need to give features for internationalization. And before we go for that to Spring MVC stuff, and before we talk about the internationalization, maybe we can spend some time about MessageSourceAware, and then in the next class maybe I'll talk a little about Application Publisher Hour, and maybe this one application event publisher hour. Eventing thing I also have not spoke. The application container does a lot of things. Maybe I have to discuss those things first, then we'll go for the entire flow. But now let's talk about something called message resource. What is that? Control T hour. Let me go inside this. Let me talk about that internationalization feature. Okay, what is that? Message source hour. Okay, let's use this. Okay, so before we go ahead, one quick questions to you. Whenever you are seeing these classes, the classes that we have designed so far, okay, BeanFactoryAware or ResourceLoaderAware, if you see these classes, don't you think there is a problem when we write code like this? If you see there is a problem, then what kind of problem you feel? Like by looking into this code, looking into this class called player, it implements a couple of interfaces. Do you think there is a problem? If yes, what kind of problem you feel? Right over here we have. Any idea, any thoughts? Yes, please. Just guesses.
You can't use it as a project.
Means if you have more beans in your application, then it's not a good way to write implementing the all the set.
Yeah, so that's like, you are asking me to code to an interface, Kishore. This one point I can accept. But looking into this thing, any other problem you feel like right now Spring is the best? Every developer has to learn Spring because Spring is trending. Maybe it will be there for next 10 years, 15 years, or it has a buzz right now. Tomorrow Spring is gone. Okay. And my application uses Spring. Now, if Spring is gone and my application is written in Spring by writing code like this, and when I remove the jar of Spring, do you think this will work? Obviously not. From where these particular interfaces are coming, look at that. org.spring, right? So if I remove this thing, if I remove my Spring jar, obviously this thing will not work. Okay, so my classes or my components are tightly coupled to this our interfaces. That's why we should avoid using the our interface unless there is a need. Okay, I'll talk more about the our interface. Our interface are pretty much used by Spring internally and less used by the developer. Whenever they need it, they will be using it. But if you're using the our interface, then it is like not the right way. Because it is very tightly coupled with your classes. Okay, let's talk about the last thing. How much time we have? So can we go for another 10 minutes, guys? Like if you guys are okay. It's already 8:32. Guys, is fine? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Okay. All right. Let's close everything. Okay. I think I have stopped sweating. I think I just went for a blood test and they gave me some medicines. I was sweating like anything. I don't know what they have given. My fever is gone. But yeah, I was sweating like anything. I think I'm feeling a little relaxed right now. Okay, so let's just go for the next thing. Let's create a new class. And this is going to be, let's say I want to greet everyone. I want to greet you in Hindi. So I'll say Namaste. I will greet you in, let's say, Tamil, maybe it's Vanakkam or something. I'll greet you in English, it will be hello, right? So let's say my application is used by different people around the world, and he may be a French speaking guy, he may be an English speaking guy, he may be a Hindi speaking guy. My application can be used by many people, right? And I want, when they will come to my application, I want to greet them. And if I want to greet them, I want to greet them with their respective language. Okay, so this is what we call the internationalization feature. Okay, my application can be used in multi-language. Okay, and let's see that if I can do it. I'm not sure if I can do it. Let's see. Let me try this one. I'm doing it because I have not done this kind of thing for a kind of 2-3 years. Let's try to use it. Let's see if I can make it work. So let's just try to greet someone. Okay, let me create a class called greet. Okay, and the greet class will implement an interface called message. What is that? Message source. I forgot the name. Can I just go to the hour? Control T, hour. And for internationalization, I think the last one, MessageSourceAware. Let's just go for this one. MessageSourceAware. I think this interface is going to help us to achieve whatever I'm trying to say you. Let me just use this one. And I think the MessageSourceAware is right now having a method called MessageSource dot, and we have something called get message. And I think we have, let's use this method. I'll tell you what are the different arguments are for. Let's say this is code and this is arguments. I'll tell you what do you mean by that. And this is the country code. Okay. Now let's say the code. What do you mean by code? Code means, let's say if I'll write like this, greet is equal to hi. This is in English, right? So greet is my code. I'll say greet is equal to namaste. Okay. So greet is my code. Namaste is in Hindi, right? And I can say greet, and let's use another language. Maybe I can use France or something. Let's say hi in French. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'll do hello. Yeah, this is pretty much common in social media. Maybe I can take this. Okay. So let's say we have different, language. This is English. This is US English. This is Hindi, Indian language, and this is like the French language. Okay, or the language which will be used in France. Okay, so greet is my code. Okay, so let's say I will use a code called greet. Okay, and let's say this is English. So country will be, let's say, US. So how can I do that? I can just use a class called local, and I can just use US. Okay, if it is France, I can use France. If it is India, do I have India? India. Oh, we don't have any India. Don't worry, we'll create one. I think we also have method here, no? Should have method here. Yes, we have method here. We'll use it and create it. Don't worry. Okay. So what we're gonna do right now? First, let's go with US. Okay. First, let's just go with US. And first of all, right now we don't have any arguments, so I'll make it null. Okay. So this is our code, and this code will be different for different local. For now, I want to greet someone in English, right? So for that, I will be needing different properties file. Okay. I have something in the chat. Voice gone? You're not able to hear me, guys?
No, can
We
hear
can
you.
hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. Omkar, I think you are having some internet issues today. Just reconnect again if you can, I think. All right. So we have this, right? So the next thing is, let me just start creating some properties file. Okay. So whenever I'll create any properties file, I'll go to the resources folder, create the resources folder. If it is not there for your Maven project, the way I have told you, just do right click and click on, what is that? Add or something, new, and source folder, give the name source main resources. And now inside this, I'll create some of the properties file. Okay. And I'll just do other. I'll create a file, and the file extension should be start with greet. All the file that we'll create, it will start with greet, and then I have to give the extension for the countries, like is it US or India or Chinese, or maybe what kind of language this particular file will be. So I'm gonna say this is English dot properties. Why I'm writing en there? Why I'm not writing english, something like that? I'll tell you in a minute. So let's say I have a file here. I'm also trying to make it work. Let's see if I can do it. So here I will have something called a code called greet, and the greet is going to basically going to be hello, let's say in English, right? So this properties file for my English language. Okay, fine. So then maybe why I'm writing en over here is that if I'll go to greet, if you're gonna go to this local, I think they have some code. Okay, see local US, and if I'll do Control K, let me just check for a minute, guys. Just give me a minute. I think Just give me a minute, please. They should have the code. I just forgot all the code they have. Like for every country, there is a code that this extension should be created with those code. If it is China, there should be an extension. And I'm looking for those code. And I think these are the English. Okay, 1 second. I'll tell you all the code. You don't have to do this. So they have some codes. Yeah, these are the codes. For English, you can see the code is EN. For French, the code is FR. For German, the code is DE. Okay, ZH for Chinese. Okay, I'll use this. Okay, let's say I have the English one. The next one, let me create a code for France. Okay, now let me just go ahead, do new class. This new properties file. Let me create. Right click, new other, and I'll say file, and this is going to be a new property file I'll be creating, and it will start with greet. Every properties file, make it start with greet. Greet is going to be your base, and then this property file will be for which country? It will be, let's say it will be for France, right? For French, the code is FR, right? So I'll just do fr dot properties. Okay, do finish. Okay, and if I'll go over here I will write this in French language. So I'll just go to the greet class, and I'll just copy this greet equal to whatever, and go to the French one and paste it. Okay, let's say I have a couple of files. One is in English, one is in French. Later we'll be doing some experiment. Let's see if it is working. Okay, so with FR stands for French, EN stands for English. Okay, the way why I'm writing ENFR, I'm not writing it out of the box. I'm writing it because they have it like this in their internal code. I'm just copying it from here. Okay, first let it work. Let's get it work, and then we will just try something else, right? So let me just do Control S. So things are okay. I think we have to do one more thing, is that we need to create a bean. Okay, so this MessageSourceAware will work with a bean. So I'll go to my app config and we'll create a bean, and to that bean what we will tell, we'll tell to that bean that where this particular files it has to load. The file is, all the files are there in the class path, and they are starts with something with the base name called greet. All the files that I have, they're starting with greet. So this is its base name. Okay, so I have to point my bean to that. So I will create a bean here called public, and this is something what we call message source. Okay, message source is a interface, and I'll say message source, and I will create a new message source. But message source is the interface. I think we have many implementation for this. Control T here. Let's use this one, resource bundle message source. So let me use this one and return it. Resource bundle. This is the interface implementation of the message source. Resource bundle. Message source, resource bundle message source is equal to new resource bundle message source. It's the implementation of the message source, and I can safely return it, right? So I want to create the bean for the message source, the way it is going to work. I'll tell you why I'm creating the bean. So this is going to be the bean for my message source. And where are the sources? The sources are from going to be the resources, and it is all the files has been started with a base name called greet. So with this message source, I'll tell the file name set base name, and the file name right now I have only one. All the files starts with greet, right? So I will just use it all starts with greet. Okay, and I'll return it. So I think I don't have to set the format, it will work fine. Let's see. So now let's go to our greet class, and let me make it a bean. Component. Let's see if it is working right now. Component. So now the local is set to US, right? So this English properties file should be loaded and hello should be printed. Let me just run the app. Is it printing anywhere? Oh, I think we are not printing anywhere, right? So let me just do, I think we need to print it. Control 1, assign statement to a new local variable. It will get you the message, print it, sys out, message. Okay, run this. It is printing. Hello, it is printing, right? It is printing hello. So let me also do sys out, and let me just do, it is basically from this interface, control V, control S, run this. Yeah, from MessageSourceAware, it is printing hello. Let me change the local to France, FR. Let me see if this properties file is getting picked. Run this. Yeah, it is giving us bonjour, right? Now the problem is we don't have India over here, right? They don't have any Indian thing, base local. They have JDS for Chinese. So for Chinese, if you want to create a grid file, you can just create another file, control C, control V. Just make sure this code you are changing. Okay, the code you are changing, don't give any code like what you like. You just get the code. For Chinese, the code is ZH. Okay, so I'll just do ZH and do OK. And inside this ZH.properties, go to the source, and what is hi in Chinese? I think hello in Chinese. Okay, let me just copy this and paste that in Chinese. Okay, I think it is not supporting this, no? Okay, no problem. Yeah, so I think it's not supporting the exact, like the file type is not supporting. Maybe we can also set our file type to UTF-8. Let's say, like, if I can do it, if I'll go to my app config, bundle message source dot set file set type. How can I set the type? Encoding, default encoding. If I set it to UTF-8, let's see if I can do it. Now let me change the local to Chinese, China. Okay, run this. Yeah, this is giving you the right thing here. Okay, now let's say, what about Hindi? We don't have anything for Hindi in the internal code, right? I was just telling you about the internal code. We don't have anything over there. So let's try to do it. If we don't have anything in the internal code, so which class I was showing you, BeanLoader. No, not this one. That internet class I have closed, base local. Okay, here we don't have anything for India, right? So for India, let me just create a file by myself. Okay, so I'll be using a internal method. So I'll just close all the files. Let me just not get confused. Let's go to which file I was working with, greet file. And let's just do the last thing, then we'll wrap up, right? For India, how can we do it? Let's say local. And do we have something up? And it is telling me the language and the country. Okay, let's say the language is Hindi. Let's say HI, and the country is India. Okay, so for the HI language, we have to create a file. This is our own language. So let's create a new file. Let me just copy this, paste it here, and let me just say HI. Okay, because I have written here the code as HI. Do OK. Go over there, and let me just write namaste. Okay, so let me just go to the app.java and run this. Is it giving? Perfect. Okay, so right now I just want you to understand there is something called message source, which is going to help you to achieve the internationalization feature. And again, you have our interface for that. this is pretty much about the our interface. I think if you understand it, if you understand this much, everything is good. So should we wrap up? Yeah.
Will we be using this in Spring Boot?
Absolutely. All the things that we are doing here, Vijay, is Spring Boot thing only. Okay, so make sure whoever does not have the foundation clear, please attend all these lessons. And then in Spring Boot, see, in these lessons, don't ask me any boot questions, because people who will be watching all these base lessons, they will be confused, who have never known Spring. They will be watching these lessons. So make sure like all these foundations should be clear. Then Spring Boot has everything. We will be converting this project to Boot very shortly. And we'll be doing all our things in Spring Boot only from the MVC. Okay. So all these core features, I want to explain it by doing it everything by ourselves. So the things will be clear for everyone. Okay. So maybe a few more sessions and we'll be clear with the foundational stuff about the Bean, about different things, about the containers, about different annotations and all the things. Once we clear, then we'll go to Boot 3, which is recently launched. And then we'll be keep on continuing on that. And I will just start module by module. I will have a REST module. I'll have a MVC module. I'll have AOP module. Whatever modules we have, we'll do it with Boot. So whatever modules you are not comfortable at, you can join and learn by yourself. And you are, and guys, one more thing, whoever is hearing this recording, don't ask me, Avilas, can I join this lesson? See, it doesn't matter from which batch you are in. If you are comfortable with this time, and if you are an old student, like, if you are from 2019, 18, 2021 or 2022, whatever batch you are in, please join. I told you, right? You can just come and join after 7 years also, not a problem. I'm not going to ask you a simple question even. All right, then. If there is no other questions, I can wrap up. No questions, right? Lakshmi, questions?
Yeah.
Lakshmi, I feel you are good.
Yes, Adi.
Yeah, long time.
Adi, is there any common things between environment and this aware interface?
EnviromentAware interface, there is another one you are talking about that, Lakshmi?
No. Environment, we have one more thing, right?
Yeah, environment interface that you have for properties, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So environment, if you're gonna write environment, as I was explaining that, I think in the last session, I have not explained it pretty much. So this is an object which is automatically gets created by, like if you're gonna do AutoWare, things will work. This is going to help you to get the properties, right? And this is nowhere related to our interface, because this is the internal object. And if you want to catch this object, I think you have something called, if I go to the root interface, if I do Control T, and if I do EnviromentAware, okay, look at that. This is going to get you the environment object. You can take it, and you can the Spring will inject this object, and you can just do environment.getProperty, give the key, and it will get you the value. Okay, making sense, Lakshmi?
Yes, Abhi.
Yeah. So basically, one second. If I'll go here and let me just do one thing. Let me just create a file. Let's say this is going to be my app.properties file. And in my app.properties file, let's say we have a property here called name is equal to Avilash. Okay. Now if I load this properties, you know how to load it, right? If I want to load it, then obviously there will be a property source that we need to use, and this property source will help me to load the property, right? And we can do it. I can just write class path. Okay, and this thing, my app.properties, you can copy that and paste it over here. And once the properties file has been loaded, you can load it like using the environment. One second, I can say property reader. Okay, and right here, let's say you make it a component. Okay, then this environment is an object. So two ways to get it. All your objects, you can directly access it over here, like environment, env, make it AutoWare. You don't have to create the object. As I said, Spring will be creating the object for you. And then you can just straight away write a method, public void, let's say read property, read prop, let's say. And I think I can just do sysout env, and there is a method called get property. And you have to give the key. Whatever the key that I have over there, my app.properties, the key is name. Copy this, go to app.config. Sorry, what is that? Property reader. Just give the key, it is going to get you the value. If you're going to hover on this, it is going to get you the string back. So let me just call the read property. I think you can go to your app.java. Where is that? App.java. And just do that. So container dot get bean, get the bean of, what is that? Property reader dot class, then run your method. Your method is read prop. This is going to print you the thing. Run this and it is going to get you a Vilas. Now you are reading your properties that you have using the environment object. Now this is one of the right way to do. You are using AutoAware directly, but let's say you don't have any options to use AutoAware, and you are basically trying to initialize this env, because right now this is going to get you null pointer exception, right? If I remove the AutoAware, null pointer exception will come because I have removed that. Now you can implement that EnviromentAware and you can do whatever you know after that, right? Yeah. Environment, what is that? EnviromentAware or something? I forgot the name.
EnviromentAware.
Let me just go to the hour again, and I think Control T. Go to the EnviromentAware. Where is it? This one. And let me implement this one. Property reader. EnviromentAware. Control Shift O to have the import. Okay. Override the unimplemented method. Set the this dot env is equal to environment. So Spring will get you this object, right? So option is yours. You are achieving the same thing end of the day, but the way you are achieving, that's different, right? So you are reading the things from your properties file. I think this is making sense, right, Lakshmi?
Yes, Abhi. Yes, Abhi.
Okay, fine. Perfect. Any other questions if you have? No, right? Cool. So, okay. So let's just meet on Wednesday, guys. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is going to be the next session. I hope there will be no disturbance. So please join and we'll talk something new and we'll try to wrap up Spring Core so that we can start a new module. Okay? Perfect. So see you guys. Thank you. Bye-bye. Good day.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.